Petty GMS Motorsports has officially announced their driver for the 42 car heading into 2023. We're going to go ahead and talk about it. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. As I just mentioned at the beginning of the video, Petty GMS Motorsports has officially revealed their driver for 2023 who will be driving the 42 car. It was announced today, earlier this afternoon, that Noah Gragson will be moving away from Junior Motorsports in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and he'll be driving the 42 for Petty GMS Motorsports heading into the 2023 season. It was announced later today that it would be a multi-year deal, so he'll be getting his driver duties in 2023 and will continue for the next couple years. It is unclear how long he'll continue racing for Petty GMS, but it'll be at least for the team for a few seasons. Now, one of the big questions been asked is who is his crew chief and sponsor is going to be for next year. It will not be Dave Elenz. Of course, Dave Elenz has a lot of experience with Noah Gragson. It will not be Dave Elenz. Dave Elenz will continue crew chiefing for Eric Jones heading the next year. Crew chief sponsorships have not been announced at this current moment and at this current time, and those will be announced at a later date. Let's talk about this move. Of course, Noah Gragson, who currently drives the 9 full-time in the Xfinity Series for Junior Motorsports, has scored 6-7 career NASCAR Xfinity Series victories, including scoring 3 so far this year in 2022, and is a championship threat in 2023. He also has made some Cup Series starts so far in 2022, albeit has not been really good runs in Cup. He did have a really impressive run going at Michigan. Unfortunately, got crashed out due to basically having something break on the car. Was running 12th at the time, was running top 5 at one point in that race, but never really got a chance to go out there and win late, unfortunately due to some issues. Now, like I mentioned, that's one thing that's important is this. Why is this move happening, and why is Noah Gragson making this move to go to the 42 car? Well, it's very obvious. Noah Gragson has said really since the beginning of this year, really since back in April, he has been wanting to go to the Cup Series. And while I think there's a possibility that maybe Colleague or Junior Motorsports could jump up full-time in the long-term future, one thing we know is that a lot of these drivers realize in Xfinity is that you need to get in a Cup car as soon as possible. Because if you don't get in a Cup car as soon as possible, you're going to be falling behind really, really quickly behind the rest of these drivers who are getting experience. Guys like Ty Gibbs, guys in the Cup Series, and even younger drivers, they're going to be falling farther and farther behind. So that's one reason why Noah Gragson is going this car. Another reason, I would assume that Noah Gragson does bring some sponsorship and some funding. He's got Bass Pro Shops, he's got Black Rifle Coffee, 2 major companies, of course, Black Rifle Coffee, who has been associated with the 42 car this year, with Ty Dillon this year. They brought basically that in as well as a primary sponsor, and they've got other sponsors that would be willing to sponsor Noah Gragson. Now, why do I think this is a really solid move? And I'm going to explain why I think this is actually also a really good move. Noah Gragson has a really, really great personality and has a really good character as well. Sometimes that character can be overbearing, but I think one thing for the sport is that's been missing, especially for a lot of the upcoming younger drivers. I've noticed, unless you go on social media, but when you see him on the racetrack and on TV, you don't really see a great personality for a lot of young drivers. That's not the case for Noah Gragson. Noah Gragson is from Las Vegas, so he brings that major personality into the garage, and really, while a lot of drivers don't always respect Noah Gragson, his talent, Noah Gragson has a really awesome personality. Every time that dude wins a race, he always has some of the best burnout celebrations, some of the best celebrations after. Now, of course, he does end up puking a lot, but that's one thing he needs to work on his diet. As we get into 2023, that's one thing they probably should work on when it comes to the Cup Series, because he's going to be running a lot more full-time races next year. Now, another thing a lot are going to be asking is, what are my expectations for Noah Gragson heading into the 2023 season? Well, my expectations for Noah Gragson are going to be as simple. I do not expect Noah Gragson to perform as well as Eric Jones has. Eric Jones has done incredibly well so far at Petty GMS Motorsports this year. Eric Jones so far this year has, while he's not won a race so far this year, he scored 2 or 3 top 5s and 7 or 8 top 10s so far this year, and currently sits 14th in the regular season points. If not for that major 35-point penalty that he and Ty Dillon received, where they lost 35 points due to that, he would right now be sitting 11th in the regular season points and only 40 points behind William Byron in 10th. So he's been extremely consistent this year and has made that 43 car a lot better as well. I expect Noah Gragson to be somewhere in the middle. I don't expect him to perform as bad as Ty Dillon has, but I don't expect him, like I said, perform as well as Eric Jones has. Now, that does not mean that Noah Gragson won't win this year. I think Noah Gragson does actually have a pretty realistic chance to win next year. But it's not going to be at a lot of tracks. I think his best chance are going to be to win, I think, are going to be at the super speedways, tracks like Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta, you name it. Tracks that have a lot of super speedway experience. He's going to have a chance of winning those races heading into next season. And A wild card race that I think that he could absolutely go out there and win in 2023 is obviously Homestead Miami Speedway. Now, why do I mention Homestead Miami Speedway? Well, it's very, very simple. You go out throughout the current NASCAR Xfinity Series, Noah Gragson has performed very exceptionally well at the racetrack. He was pretty fast in 2020 in both races, had the fastest car for unfortunately having an issue late and losing near the end of the race. And then in 2021 had the dominant car, but unfortunately getting taken out by Davis Starr, had a tire go down with 3 laps to go, nearly won that race. I think Noah Gragson is going to be a threat at that track as well and will be a contender to win that race as well. But going back to what am I thinking about Noah Gragson's move, I think he's someone that really can transcend the sport. Now, one thing that Noah Gragson, like I said, is going to have to work on next year is really showing that maturity. And I think a driver like Eric Jones is going to be a driver that's really going to be able to kind of coach it. Eric Jones is also kind of a younger driver, but he's also been in the Cup Series for a very, very long time. And he's also going to have the King Richard Petty be there as well as also kind of like someone who really could guide him and mentor him as well to really, really improve. And I think Noah Gragson is going to be willing to do that. He said he's really excited for the opportunity and cannot wait to jump up to the Cup Series next year. So I think that's something that's going to be really fun to watch. I think Noah Gragson is going to be such a big benefit and such a big asset to this organization heading next year. I think he's going to do really, really well. So now the other big thing we're going to talk about is because Noah Gragson is going full-time in the Cup Series next year, what happens to the 9 car heading into next year when it comes to Junior Motorsports? Well, right now, Junior Motorsports is going to have to figure out a backup plan since Noah Gragson is not returning to Junior Motorsports next year since he's going full-time Cup. What's going to happen to the 9 car? Well, I think there's a few things that can happen. One, it could be a full-time opportunity for drivers, and there's a lot of drivers who go full-time, or it could be a part-time ride, very similar to the 88 car, or even maybe a 17 car for that matter. That could be a potential part-time ride where multiple different drivers get involved and get behind the wheel of the car. But let's talk about the drivers who could be potential full-time candidates heading into 2023. Let's first start off with Derek Kraus. Now, Derek Kraus, one a lot of people are not going to agree with me on, but I think Derek Kraus has done very solid in the Truck Series this year with Bill McAnally's organization. He barely missed the playoffs this year, and while his aggression has been really, really bad, I think Derek Kraus has the potential to mature, and I think Derek Kraus can only get better as time goes on. The next driver we'll talk about is someone from the Toyota camp, and that is Chandler Smith. Now, Chandler Smith currently right now has been really impressive in the Truck Series this year. I think he's one of the most best talented up-and-coming prospects currently in the works right now. I know Toyota wants to keep him, but if he doesn't have an opportunity to go to a Toyota ride heading in the next year, I would suggest this would be a really good opportunity for him to go full-time with Junior Motorsports. But also, I think more than likely he'd go to Joe Gibbs Racing full-time next year with some drivers like, for instance, Ty Gibbs, who could be jumping up to Cup next year. Another driver who would be a really good option to go with is Zane Smith. Now, Zane Smith, we all thought was signed for multiple years with Front Row Motorsports, but we kind of heard a couple weeks ago, I believe at Pocono, if I'm not mistaken, Zane Smith said to the media that he is not signed with them for 2023, which is a really big surprise. Now, we know that Ford really wants to keep him for a long-term period, but is he bringing sponsorship and funding to stay long-term? That's one thing that we really do not know at this current moment. And then you've got other drivers also like Parker Kligerman. Now, Parker Kligerman there's been some rumors and rumblings that Parker Kligerman has apparently been in some conversation, potentially get some rides heading into 2023. And I think that he would be an amazing candidate to get behind the wheel of the 9 car heading in the next year. No, he's a very talented driver. Parker Kligerman is one of the most underrated drivers in NASCAR, and I think he'd do an exceptional job behind the wheel of the 9 car next year. Of course, he's going to need the sponsorship and funding, but he's got Tide and other companies that can really help out and could get other brandings involved as well. But there's 2 drivers right now that emerge as potential candidates and potential favorites to get behind the wheel of a 9 car next year. The first one I'm going to talk about is someone that a lot of people do not really like, and that is Drew Dollar. Now, I'm going to be honest and for real with this one. I'm not a big fan of Drew Dollar. I understand why a lot of people also do not like Drew Dollar. Drew Dollar has not done really well in the Truck Series and has really struggled in the Xfinity Series when he ran for them this year, and really has done nothing in ARCA this year as well. To the point where Billy Venturini was basically calling him out as well and was calling out Drew Dollar in the race as well. Drew Dollar is not a very talented driver, but one thing he does have is sponsorship and funding. He's got companies that are willing to sponsor him, so if you have the funding and the money to really back you up, you do have a really good opportunity and a really good chance to get behind the wheel of a car. I think it would be I don't think he'd do well. I think he'd really struggle and probably almost do worse than when Riley Herbst started. I just don't see Drew Dollar really contending if he gets behind the wheel. The other driver who's emerged as a potential favorite. And it seems like he's kind of playing chess with a lot of people with what he's basically put out on Twitter today. It seems like Carson Osborne has emerged as a potential candidate and a potential favorite to get behind the wheel of the 9 car heading in the next year. Carson Osborne currently drives the 42 for GMS Motorsports currently at the moment. And I know the Trackhouse would like to keep him in their pipeline long term since they have a really big partnership with Worldwide Express. But I think a lot of teams are looking at what he's been doing with GMS Motorsports this year. Outside of Ross Chastain winning with the team this year and Daniel Suarez doing well, Carson Osborne has been really the only shiny star on the full-time side of things for GMS Motorsports this year. And I think Carson Osborne would do an incredible job in that car. Now, do I think he'd win a championship in the 9 car? No, not necessarily. But I think he would do very solid and would do a really, really good job going up there. I think it needs to go to Carson Osborne who gets behind the wheel of the 9 car. I think he should be the favorite to get there. I know people mentioned Cole Custer as well, but Cole Custer's not in the options. But I think Carson Osborne would definitely be a really good candidate to get behind the wheel of a 9 car next year. Keep Chevy in the pipeline, and maybe long term goes to Cup. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Now, one thing I want to talk about is who could it be also potential crew chief for Noah Gragson heading in the next year. Well, I think one crew chief needs to be it for next year, and that is Luke Lambert. Luke Lambert has done really well with Noah Gragson. I wasn't always a big fan of Luke Lambert, but what I realized is Luke Lambert is a lot better of a crew chief than I think people realize. Noah Gragson has really had a great year, and I think Luke Lambert is one of the big key reasons why I think Noah Gragson is getting this opportunity to race in Cup in 2023, and I think this is a big reason why he's absolutely shown so much improvement this year on the consistency side of things and the driver talent side of things. I think he's a great crew chief, and I think he should be the crew chief for Noah Gragson. There's no disrespect to Jeremy Donnelly, but Jeremy Donnelly's in mid this year, in my opinion, and has not done fantastic. Or they get Joey Cohen or Jeremy Donnelly crew chief, who knows? But if I had to choose a crew chief right now, I would honestly, at this particular moment, go with Luke Lambert. This stuff is something we're going to be watching, as well as other silly season stuff to happen. There's a lot going on in silly season, of course. We really don't know what's going on with Kyle Busch for 2023. There seems like Ross Racing, Joe Gibbs Racing, and College, they're running to get him. Most likely, a lot of people still think he's going to go to Joe Gibbs Racing. Others think he's going to go to those 2 organizations. We, of course, also have Cole Custer. We don't know if he's going back to 41 or not. It really depends on what happens to Kyle Busch. We don't know about other drivers in the Cup Series current moment as well, and I think silly season is only going to get crazier and crazier as we go down the road. Anything 2022 silly season to 2023 is nuts. Well, next year's silly season is going to be crazy because there's going to be a lot of drivers on the potential of retiring. So this summer we're going to be watching for sure, but I think silly season is only going to get crazier from here as we get closer to the start of the 2023 season, which is less than 6 months away, and I cannot wait for that. So anyway, that is for today's special NASCAR video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notification on so you're notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's get some below over that and comment your thoughts on today's video. How do you think Noah Gragson is going to perform with this organization next year? Let me know in the comments below. And do you think he'll be better than Ty Dillon next year or not? Let me know in the comments below. Tomorrow on my channel, we're going to have a NASCAR news video on some of the wrapping up of some of the other stories we haven't discussed this week. And then, of course, also, or later this evening at 8:30 Central Standard Time, I'm going to be going live on YouTube on my first ever YouTube live stream. Make sure to watch it. I might have that in the description for you guys to go check that out as well. Make sure to tune in that stream at 8:30 Central Standard Time. I'll be out of work then, so that's why I'm going to be having it a little bit later. But I will have this stream at 8:30 Central Standard Time. Make sure to tune into that. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR and other motorsports content on the channel like this. We got other races coming up this weekend as well. We've got Richmond, then Watkinsville, and Daytona to get you set for the end of the regular season. I'll see you guys there for more content on the channel. Take care, everybody.